Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Reverend Johnny, and we're going to begin the second panel discussion. We're going to be a little quick because I know we're pressed for time. So I would like to introduce Mr. Gerald Williams. He is known as the hip hop gamer. He has a lot of experience in using the hip hop platform to game for Generation Y and Generation Z. And also, I would like to introduce on Zoom Dr. Jamila Wilkinson. She is the founder and CEO of Hype Magazine. It's one of the foremost recognizable magazines in hip hop and hip hop culture around the world. Also, we have Pastor Clifford Gray, who is a gospel hip hop artist, entrepreneur, and senior pastor of the church planting church here in Mount Vernon. So you guys can just take your seats at the table, and so we can begin. So as you know, hip hop began its journey over 50 years ago. And since that time, it's evolved into a global phenomenon, creating paradigms, shifts within social norms, economics, and entrepreneurship, and popular culture. And so now hip hop has emerged as the culture, the new culture of commerce. We're using, everyone around the world has used hip hop as a platform for entrepreneurship, for economic development. And we want to see how we can leverage hip hop in that platform for Generation Y and Generation Z to create entrepreneurs, to create economic development and opportunity for the next generation. And so my first question to the panelists, what inspired you to your journey into music industry? What inspired you? That's the first part of that question. And how has that body of knowledge led you to create different revenue streams for yourself outside of selling records, outside of downloads and touring? There's so many opportunities in terms of generating multiple streams of wealth through music and through hip hop. So if you can just elaborate on that, it would be great.
Oh, I'll take it first, son. It's so good, son. So first of all, it's an honor to be here. I'm a hip hop gamer. I'm on High 97. Just a little background on me, so I could then answer the question. My grandmom's rest in peace. She's the one who taught me how to play video games, and I was 4 years old. So I've been playing video games all my life, and now it's officially my career. So that's the first thing. The second thing to your point, what inspired me was my grandmother. I love video games. I love hip hop. That's why they call me hip hop gamer. But my inspiration came from my grandmother because my grandmother, she gave me my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So because of video games and finding that love and that passion, I became a champion in her eyes, and I was a champion. And she was a champion in my eyes, and that allowed me to persevere and pursue what I love to do versus just being told what I could or couldn't do. So that's where the inspiration came from. That's the first thing. The second thing in terms of the business side of it. So the gaming industry is the biggest industry in entertainment, period. It's bigger than movies and music combined. Okay. So in terms of me being able to leverage that, I love to play games. So as a gaming journalist as well, my input, because I play games, is a big influence to what sells games. So I managed to, from a journalistic standpoint, talk about games that created influence in an audience that helped support the companies in the industry. So that's the first part. Now, the second part is on the back end, I became a partner with the Board of Education, and I'm MBE certified as well, minority business enterprise as well. Well, the name of my company is called Grandma's Boy Entertainment. So, grandma represent, you know what I mean? So what happened is I became a partner with the Board of Education. Why? Because now I put into a program called Playmakers where kids get paid to go to school and play games and give reports on the games based off story, graphics, gameplay, sound design, and fun factor. So now this is what's going on. So in the gaming industry, now I got kids getting paid in the gaming industry right at school. So now that grows the industry and grows the music. How does it grow the music? I'll tell you right now. I'm also an artist. I make songs for the games, and I'm a character in different video games as well. So because of that, these products that you see here, this is Razer. It's one of the biggest companies in the gaming industry. And there's a microphone here. So as well as you playing games streaming, making money streaming, you can also make music with the same products, and it grows the business as well. Right here, this controller right here, you can put your phone in the middle of that controller, because the mobile side of the gaming industry is the biggest percentage of the gaming industry. So these particular products help enhance what you want to do and accomplish in this particular industry. And these are ways that you create multiple streams of income. You see what's there, you look for what you don't see, listen for what you don't hear, and become the answer to that particular problem. Don't complain, create, and then allow your legacy to become somebody else's inspiration. And that's how we pay it forward and create generational wealth, not just within your family, but the community's family.
And that was so good. Well, for me, my name is Pastor Clifford Gray. I am the pastor of Launching Pad Church. We actually planted about 5 years ago, and we've been thriving, just seeing God move powerfully in our community. I also started Launching Pad Music Group, which is the record label arm to the church, in which from the time I started that record label, I've just been able to basically grow the program of music within the church. So wherever there's events, whether, you spoke about not touring and stuff like that, but we do tour. I've just recently performed at the Barclays Center. I've also performed in Times Square. I'm about to go on tour, on a 5-city tour in LA, Houston, Chicago, DC, and probably some other places as well that you guys already know about. But as far as like music outside of those things, my greatest inspiration of make music was like people like Jay-Z, to be honest. Like Jay-Z was one of the biggest, he is the biggest artist in hip hop. He's the face of hip hop. And I remember just like watching rappers rap and do what they do, and the lifestyle, the money, the fame. I mean, let's be real. I was a young kid, and when I saw the money, the fame, the riches, the things you can get from hip hop music, I said, man, I want to get into this. But it's not until I had a face-to-face encounter with Jesus and I gave my life to God that I realized that my purpose for music is not to give the youth more of what they want, but more of what they need, right? You can give them candy all day, but they'll actually get sick. So we got to give them substance within the music. So right now I got on a hat. It says City of God. I got a hit record. It just surpassed about 350,000 views on YouTube. It's been able to allow me to tour around everywhere, literally. But this is my merch, City of God. This hat will cost you about $40. When I first put this hat out and I did a concert at the church, I sold almost all these hats. Shirts, we got hoodies, we got all this. So merch is a huge part of making money. And if you go, even Nicki Minaj, when she came out with her album, there was merch included. It was a product that was included with the sales. And when you do that, now you're not only making money off of the streams, which we all know you don't make a lot of money off streams, but you make a lot of money off your merch, off your products. And that's what I began to do. I began to take products and merge it with the music. And so the music has an energy to it. It wakes people up. They want to listen to it every day. But after a while, people don't want to just hear your music. They want to get to know you. What is your story? Who are you? Like, how did you come up with this sound? And so you give them, you can start a podcast off of it. You can go on YouTube. You can go on social media. You can connect with your fan base. You can share your story with them. And my story is that I turned Crip at the age of 12. I was smoking by the age of 9, Crip by the age of 12. And if you don't know what the Crips or who the Crips are, that is one of the most notoriously known gangs in the world, literally. And so I was gangbanging up until the age of 16. I was supposed to do 3 to 15 years of Rikers Island. God got me out of that situation. And it was not until I was 18 that I had my face-to-face encounter with Jesus that changed my life. And then from there, I was using hip hop literally in a sense to destroy my community. Now I learned how to use hip hop to build my community, to build people, to create new realms in their minds, right? new worlds. Like music creates worlds in our minds, right? If you remember one of your favorite songs, right, from back in the day, smells even begin to come, your mind, everything begins to come back. And so we want to do that for the next generation. And I would say merch is probably one of the biggest things. I'm also a teacher, so I teach music. I teach people how to do live performances, because a lot of people know how to go in the studio and rap, but they don't know how to get in front of a group like this and be confident. And so how do you build confidence in young people with these skills to bring it into the forefront so they can do it confidently? So I hope I answered your question.
Okay, you can go ahead, Dr. Wilkerson.
Hey, okay, awesome. Hey, everybody, I am Dr. Jamila Wilkerson, CEO and founder of the Hype magazine. This is our 23rd year in business, so it's a lot going on. Currently, what we've been doing, which is awesome, I put my second book out. It's called Ignite Your Life, It's Self-Esteem Through Entrepreneurship. It's all about legacy building. Our contribution to the hip hop industry at this point is really showing the culture how to navigate to the wealth building side. It's something that we weren't taught early on. We all have the stories of the grind. Like he said, he was in a gang. You have to do what you have to do to kind of get here. So we're trying to show the next generation, just get your banking together. The gentleman last session said taxes. He was talking about credit. That's what the Ignite Your Life program is all about. We have a 30-day challenge that we do every Tuesday night for free, just to bring individuals into the call, into the ecosystem, to kind of show everyone how to circulate wealth. Once again, the merch is a big moneymaker in the music business, but if money's not being generated, no one can spend money with your merch. So, the goal right now is just to really show people how to be, not even really how to be wealthy, just how to live wealthy. Because sometimes everybody's not going to get wealthy, but you need it. So we've been utilizing our platform. We have about 4.8 million viewers a month. We've been utilizing our voice and our platform to just help people create legacy. So amongst other things, I have a distribution company. I started out doing street teaming. So I have a couple of platinum records with Soulja Boy. I started out with them. Hit the Quan. I break records still to this day. I do a lot of stuff in the industry, but mainly helping people is the mission and the goal. So I'm just happy to be here and looking forward to our discussion.
I saw this report on CNN, and it stated that there are over 170 million TikTok users in the US. 170 million. That's literally half the population is on TikTok. So the next question is how has social media impacted your growth and imprint as an influencer?
Oh, got you, bro. So, in terms of social media, man, I'll take you back to when I made my first ever video. So, December 16, 2007 is when I made my first ever YouTube video. And the reason why I made it is because I was a fan of this network called G4 Tech TV. It was a gaming network. And but it started to feel like the corporations was getting to the voices and it wasn't authentic anymore. So I said I'm gonna do it myself, like and speak out on games. And the moment I put it out, you'd be surprised at the impact you got on people, and also you never know who's watching. So social media is very important, but also you gotta be very responsible because it can help you or it can hurt you, depending on how you utilize it. It's a great tool, but you gotta know how to use it. So when I made my first video, it created a lot of inspiration for me even more to go further. So now what I can tell you is I use all the platforms, but one of the things that I do that's very unique when I stream different video games and I stream my content is I use a software called Restream. So the website is restream.io. What this does is it allows you to utilize Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all at the same time. So let's say you got a lot of followers on Instagram, but you may got a little bit on Twitter, you got a lot on Facebook, you don't have to alienate any audience anymore. You could bring all the audiences together, all the chat, everybody, if you like YouTube better, you want to chat there, don't matter. You could bring everybody together. So the key thing is social media is amazing. How do you leverage every piece and part of it so that you can see, so your value can be shown to everyone at its maximum level? Restream.io. If y'all go to that site, you will be able to leverage social media in ways that the average person is not. And when you're in a space, even from a competitive standpoint, you want to utilize everything so you can be able to stand out accurately. So when people see you, be like, wow, I never seen this before. And then that's when you become more of an anomaly. And that helps increase your business as well, because now everybody want to see you and hear you, and they will pay for that.
That's so good, man. That's great information. If you did, write that down.
Yeah,
write it down.
Restream.io. Woo!
That's so crazy. So I'll give you a short story. I planted a church literally right before the pandemic, launching Pat Church in Mount Vernon. And the crazy thing about it is that right when we were getting ready to celebrate our first year, the pandemic hit. Now, I don't know if you remember what was happening around that time, but churches were shut down essentially, right? So you only had you only able to reach out to a certain group of people online. You can't really bring people into the buildings for safety reasons, which is understandable. So anyway, I remember I was watching, my mom was actually battling with cancer. It looked like things were gonna get really bad. And then one day I was watching on social media, it was a pastor, he's a friend of mine now, Pastor Michael Todd. He was a very famous pastor all throughout the world. And I remember watching him, he was preaching a sermon called Crazy Faith. And as he was preaching about crazy faith and having crazy faith in God, I don't know, I just felt like something come over me to believe that God was gonna heal my mom of cancer, that all I needed was to have crazy faith. And so this is social media. I'm watching him on social media because of that particular sermon and how it impacted me. I literally wrote a song called Mike Todd, right? And the song was talking about how I believed God was gonna heal my mom, which he did. Y'all can clap for that. He healed my mom. So the song became about the crazy faith that I was able to step into because of his ministry through social media, put out the song. He caught wind of the song and he decided to give $100,000 to Martin Patrick. Listen, from that moment on, after he did that, he invited me out to Tulsa. I spent time with him on my birthday. And the information that I was able to receive, the things that he was pouring into me, the stuff that he was saying, it really challenged me, and it also helped me to see things in a different light. Now, this is a person that you can't even pay to sit down with. Like, that's how busy this person is. That's how, high on the scale he is. But he was willing to spend time with me because of social media. Social media brought that story together. And it is a story that has impacted millions around the world. And so the way I use social media is that I put out what God has placed in me, right? When people are able to see with your God-given talents, your God-given gifts, it don't matter. It don't matter if you don't have, it don't matter if you have 10,000 followers, 20,000, you can have some people have 1 million followers, but they only have a small amount of people that they're impacting. So even if you got 500 followers, you don't know who in your following group is going to be a person that sees your potential, sees where you're going, sees what God has placed inside of you and say, you know what, I want to invest in that. I want to pour into that. And so I would have never performed at the Barclays, performed in Times Square. I wouldn't be on tour with Flavor Fest if it wasn't for social media. Someone saw me rapping on social media and said, hey man, I want to invite you to my church. I want to invite you. Matter of fact, I want to invite you on this tour. Matter of fact, I was at the 50th anniversary of hip hop. I was one of the only artists that performed with Pastor Johnny recently. And that's where Kid Capri in the back, Special Ed, Chuck D, so many people were receiving these awards from the mayor for their work in hip hop. And I was the only Christian hip hop artist in the room. And that's because my song, it crosses over. But how would that have happened if I wasn't on social media? So if you're not on social media, you need to get there. That's where your business needs to be. That's where your music is going to be heard. That's where you're going to meet people that you never thought you could meet. And stop, let me just say this. Stop pitching what you have only to your friend group. I just want to say that because sometimes when we're on social media and we're looking for our friends to support the business and the things that we're doing, but most of the time it's going to be someone that you don't know that is highly impacted by what you're doing and says, I want to invest. So that's my take on social media.
Awesome. Social media for me, from a standpoint, the fact that we've been around for so long when social media wasn't really big, it's definitely impacted. It saves a lot of time. We still do a lot of street marketing, but it's definitely awesome not to have to do so much of it. The personal connection for social media from the magazine world is awesome. It's also changed the game with individuals like yourselves, like the hip hop gamer, becoming a media outlet himself. News, we get news a lot faster than what we got news before. It might take 2 days back in the day to get the news that someone passed away or something happened, or, don't work with this person, work with this person, they're awesome. All of this social media, it kind of cuts this time in half. It's also allowed us as a culture to come together. It's a lot of people that I never would have met or built relationships with if it wasn't for social media. The greatness of us, it's kind of hard to see it in real time. It's so many moving parts. So when you do your tidbits on Twitter or you do Twitch or you do, I guess, TikTok, people are able to kind of grasp your personality. A lot of people are like, Jay, I didn't know you was cool. I'm like, because I don't talk a lot. But on social media, they're like, wait a minute, you're lit. You move around a lot. You do a lot of things. But if you just meet me out, I'm not talking much. I'm sitting there, I'm reading something, I'm learning. So social media has given me the ability to have a personality. So I think that's the awesome thing about social media. The shift in it for businesses is just access. So, if you can utilize it and leverage it in any way, just learn it. One thing that I learned early on, even working with Twitter, was we had to really learn the systems of social media. It's really based off of ego and stroking the ego. That's kind of what they wrote in their overview when they first launched it. So learning how to connect with people on a surreal level, social media does that for you more than what you could if you were hand to hand. You don't have enough time in the day to talk to people like that, but that's what social media has done for the industry, definitely, the connection and access. I can't hear you guys clapping, so I got to clap. Can y'all hear me clap?
Okay, I have one more question for the panelists. And so the German sociologist Max Weber theorized that religious beliefs are a key determinant of entrepreneurial development, right? And he argued that these are driven by belief about causes and consequences. And just from listening to your testimonies, I believe that you guys can really speak to that. So the last question is, how did your religious or your faith help shape your entrepreneurial spirit?
Oh, that's a fire question.
That's definitely good.
Yo, like this, B. Check this out, right? You know what I'm saying? My chain spin, right? But on my chain, it says Jesus is God right there. You know what I'm saying? I don't play about that. I wanted to show y'all that because, woo, my grandma, man, I miss her so much. Like, y'all don't understand. How did it shape my business acumen? It allowed me to not have a price on who I am.
Powerful.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Clap for that.
When I tell you, like, I don't care how I used to think, I'm from the hood too, I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. I used to think all the money, all of this, stuff like that. Nah, there's a quote, I told my man Andrew earlier. There's a quote that I created and trademarked. The name of this quote is called "Character is Your Currency." The value is always in who you are. I don't care what Jordans you got, this chain, nothing. It don't mean nothing. The value is always in who you are and who I am. is all who I praise. I'm just a vessel that's used. So every business deal, dog, that I do, everything, if we can't have a genuine, real relationship, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever, then I don't do the deal, bro. Because if we only as good as the dollar, the moment that dollar runs out, we over. That's weak, that's whack. I ain't about that. I genuinely got love for people, and if we can't operate with that love, if I got a plate of food and you can't get none, what we talking about here? Nah, my business has been incredible because it's not defined by society and their metrics. My business is valuable and incredible and will always be valuable and will always, keyword, always will be valuable because I put my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in the deals that I do. Period. If he ain't there, so as long as he there, that's how we blow up. That's it.
Amen. I think there's a scripture in Proverbs 16 that says to commit everything you do unto the Lord, and he will establish your plans. So I believe that we can make plans all we want, right? There's actually a quote that says, "We plan, God laughs."
Yes.
Right? So we come up with all these strategies, these plans, these connections, these networks, and we could do all of these things, but if God is not leading us in that direction, then for me, I truly believe that any direction God is not leading you in and you go, that's called the broad path. That's a path to destruction. And so everything I do is about not compromising who I am, not compromising who God has called me to be. Because one of the things that I realized that I've become successful being who God has called me to be. I was not successful being anyone else, right? Trying to fit in, trying to be part of the team, trying to, kind of shun my personal beliefs and my own moral compass just to fit in, just to make money. It always left me unsatisfied. But when I began to walk in my purpose, when I began to walk in who God has called me to be, when I began to realize that there is success God's way, right? Now, the devil has a way of success that leads to destruction. But God's way of success is not only a success that benefits you, but it benefits your brothers, your sisters, it benefits your community, it benefits everybody that is connected to you. Remember, you don't represent yourself. Every person represents a people. Every person in this room has a family that you're connected to. Every person in this room is connected to a community, connected to a business, connected to a job. And so everything you do affects people. And so how do you want to affect people? Do you want to affect them in a bad way, a negative way? Or do you want to affect them in a godly way? Everywhere I go, I want to leave that room impacted by the Holy Spirit that is in me. And so that's why I'm here. And that's what I believe in, how I believe God is the center of the universe and the center of finance, is the center of science, is the center of everything that we try to take him out of.
Well, often, often you don't get an opportunity to really talk about the spiritual side, but I found ways to sneak it in throughout the years. I know when I first started the magazine, I was very young and I was very street, and I did a lot of things. And I prayed to God. I'm like, God, if you just give me the opportunity to start this magazine, I'll change my ways and I'll kind of walk this path. Walking this path with God has probably been one of the hardest paths ever for me because I've had to maintain integrity for 23 years. So the not cussing, the building a team, to bring people around us that protect us, to build this family structure. Believe it or not, people run away from that. They run away from the family structure. I have laws in place. I always tell people business is not in the Bible, but integrity has to be in your heart. Like you can't come around me if you don't have it. I've walked this spiritual walk for a long time, and it's difficult. Needless to say, to stay on that path, to stay. I guess you guys kind of understand just being. I'm not in church. My family is definitely church. They are pastors and morticians. I'm not a church goer, but I'm a faith believer. I believe strong in God. We talk daily, and He leads my life. If I get off paths, He kind of smacks me back a little bit to get to focus. So spirituality, it plays a big factor in my life, like daily. I can't even move without it. And actually, if you sit down and you align yourself proper with energy, everything that you need and want comes to you in real time. So it's just about patience and belief. So that's how I feel that the spiritual side has shaped my business.
That was our last question. So, all right, next, we can take a few questions, or if not, yeah, we can.
We got, okay. So first of all, my name is Micah Crump. I've worked at Emeritus College for 6 years. And I'd like to begin by first thanking our Dean of the School of Business, Dean Rowe. Also Dr. Data of London for doing what most academics don't do. So I've been, I've been teaching at 3 different Black colleges. I went to 2 different Black colleges, and I've never been blessed and touched by what I've seen today. Also want to thank, I'm gonna call you Reverend Dr. Johnny Howard. But for him, I just met him, organically a few weeks ago. But anyway, love the panelists. And my real question is, is this done in academia, other places? Because I've never seen it in 20-some years at Black colleges. And where is hip hop supposed to be part in academia? Because these guys, the and lady, the message that you all are giving really touches our students and it defines our students, but they don't hear this at all. They hear other stuff and they're disengaged. If our students knew about this, they would be standing room only and they'd be lined up outside. So where does this belong in academia? And how does that story end? Thank you.
Is that third question for me?
I would love for all of you, Todd, but any of you. So
Yeah, I can answer that real quick. For me, it needs to starting early. A lot of times the school systems, they kind of skip over the reality of life. What's really going to happen. I have a program, Life After 16, and Life After 16 changes. And we don't prepare our children and our youth, our high school kids, we don't prepare them for change. And that's a problem. A lot of times they're hiding the truth, they're covering up the reality of what's going to happen. All of our students should already have A1 credit and a knowledge of credit before they get out of school, high school. All of our children and our youth should have an understanding of what real life looks like. It's like everyone is scared to talk about it, but as soon as they turn 18, it shifts immediately, and then you're lost in this space bubble for a while. And then we say, well, what happened to such and such? Well, what happened is no one gave them the proper direction in the first place. So I think that we need to do a better job at putting some of the real things into the school systems.
Wow, that's powerful. Hype Magazine in the building. All right, so one thing I wanted to add to that was with the program that I got right now, the Playmakers, what we do, because it's tied to characters and currency, one of the key things is that I give them something that they don't want to lose. So they can think twice and 3 times about who they're hanging out with, what they about to post on Instagram, who they represent when they do things, all of that stuff. So now I'm literally seeing the actual value that it's having on them naturally, because everything that they do, they starting to think twice more about it because they don't want to lose the things that they got. Their parents is showing that they're more proud and more invested in the things that they're doing, which makes them feel better about what they're doing. The last thing I'll say about this is shout out to Chase Bank in the building, my dude Kobe, you know what I'm saying? Like my homegirl, like Shakima is so amazing. God bless you. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you. What's going on is, just to give you an example, we just did the Barclays Institute, right? It was a big comedy show, and there was a student by the name of Tristan, and we brought him on stage, right, in front of thousands of people, and I gave him a MetaQuest 3, so he could now get into the virtual reality and things of that nature. And he said on stage in front of everybody, his family, everybody, he said, you know what? I feel proud of myself. He said that, yo. And we got over 1 million people to watch that. So what I'm telling you right now is a gaming program that also teaches character development and what our character is standing. And now we got a chance to see that. And through Chase, now they're about to get bank accounts. And now at an early age, they're gonna understand how money works, the wealth builders. We're gonna make sure we ain't gonna have no excuses. Because if they demand a lot from us, we demand a lot from them, and we should demand a lot from each other, because when we walk, we gotta walk and talk with that excellence, period.
Yeah, so as far as, to answer your question directly, is there a lot of this happening? And the answer is no. It's not happening. And it's crazy because hip hop is not only a part of our culture, but hip hop is a part of business. It's everywhere. They invited Cardi B to the White House. Okay, and I'm not saying that as a shot. I'm saying that this is how big hip hop is. You know, it's in politics, it's in radio, it's in music, it's everywhere. And it should be in education. I have a friend, a matter of fact, I remember I was supposed to take a huge test. And I knew I was gonna fail that test. Like there was like, you know when you're about to take a big test, you're like, I'm gonna fail. Like you know how I passed that test? I took all the answers and I made a rap out of it.
Yep.
Wow.
You know, it sounds good. And I was able to memorize it because it rhymed, and I was able to remember the schemes and everything like that. So I was able to do it and do it well and pass that test. But one of the things that I've done, I don't know if you guys know what's going on in Staten Island right now, around Park Hill. There was this one young man who actually shot his brother. They were 13 and 16. And there's been a bunch of young kids just shooting at each other. We've never seen it. We've never seen kids that young just shooting at each other. And there were kids actually dying, 13 years old, 14 years old. It became like, it was very alarming. And I was called in by a friend of mine, Pastor Dave Bedell, who actually has a nonprofit organization called Urban Hope NYC. If you've never heard of it before, definitely tap in with them. And he asked me to come in to speak to the students. And so I went and I spoke to the students, and they called the whole assembly. And I actually got a chance to meet the kid whose family members, who his cousin just shot his brother. And he began to weep as I began to speak and begin to speak life unto the kids. And I didn't understand why he was having that, you know, even more deeper emotional effect. And that's when I finally got wind, and they told me that's who he is. And we got a chance to pray for that kid. We got a chance to speak life into that kid. We got a chance to actually pour into him and stay in contact with him, because he's gonna need support, right? And so we need to bring hip hop into the schools, and we need hip hop with positive messages.
Thanks.
I mean, hip hop is such a powerful tool to shape the minds of our youth and even shape the minds of adults. It's not just young people listening to this music. We got Nas, that's one of the best poets in the world, okay? Poetry, spoken word, the power of spoken words, we know can change communities, it can change the world. And so hip hop artists are really preachers, they're pastors. They have the same kind of influence and even more influence because it connects with us in a different way. So we have to bring it in academia. We have to bring it into universities. We have to bring it into colleges and also bring it into grade schools.
And just to reiterate what you were saying in terms of your personal experience with using hip hop to pass a test, our organization is creating a program that's called STEAM here in Brooklyn, in which we are using the hip hop platform to teach young kids about science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and music, using hip hop as a method of teaching science to them. And so the idea is to have these kids to break out in ciphers, and they'll take the classroom instructions, what they learned in science, and create lyrics and rhymes about it to reinforce the learning application. So that was a great idea. And the connection that we're making in regards to that it's amazing. And so we're looking to launch that in August this year in New York City. And to answer Dr. Crump's question, why is it not in colleges around the country or here in New York City? We've been having this conversation, and I know that I heard that you were leaving the room. But we want to create that program here. We want to look at how we can use the body of knowledge of hip hop to teach entrepreneurship to our students. So we are getting together, people like Dr. Crump, Dr. Franklin, we spoke to Dr. Waterman, and we were kicking around ideas around how we can help put the curriculum here to teach the incoming students about entrepreneurship and just looking at hip hop as that platform, because hip hop is more than the negative connotations that you see on TV. I'm from the era in which hip hop was the message of change. The voice of protest, social activism, and we kind of want to get back to that. The whole idea of how we can address some of the social challenges in our community through the music. So that's what we're looking to do.
I really have a question because y'all seem to have the answers.
Good time to ask the question then.
Nah, because y'all are saving the dying art. Yeah. Politically and socially, hip hop is dying. But y'all here saving it, and I thank you very much. I'm not saying. Wow.
And I want to say something to that. It's not dying, it's being killed off by people who are not represented properly. And we need more people to represent it properly.
Absolutely. Wow. Is there another question?
I think that's all.
Yes. There's a question right here.
Can we just start, this is the last question, and we don't have.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And one of you just reply, please. Thank you.
Okay. You can ask your question, please.
So, for the gaming thing, I know some sports, they hitting kids at like age 19, they hit kids at age 18. Now, I believe that game is good for the mental, it's good for the eye and hand coordination. So for your platform, at what age you just say I should have my future son or daughter come in and sign up with your platform?
Oh, they could be as early as 5 years old, and they can start making money as early as 5 years old. A lot of games that you play, they have voice actors that's kids in video games that you play. You need that. Your kid, let's say he's good at drawing or she's good at drawing. They need drawers and animators. We need kids that know how to have descriptive thinking so that generative AI tools can be utilized at earlier ages, because that's the world that they're growing up in. You see what I'm saying? So as early as like 5 years old, we can make it happen. And also, like through Chase, we have a program where even at that age, they can get funded with accounts and stuff like that too. I ain't playing, dog. Let's get it. Like for real.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.